One, and we are live. Another edition of Addy Chats. I have a great privilege, Reverend Bill Bean, who is a minister, coach, author, and exorcist, has agreed to join me today. Mr. Bean, how are you?
I'm doing great, Addy. Thank you for having me on. It's a pleasure.
No problem, Reverend. Well, since we only have about half an hour, let's get right to it. What is your interpretation of these past events that have happened over the past month or two?
Well,
Specifically with regards to the outbreak.
in my opinion, I think that this is biblical. I think that this is, I don't believe God created this, but I do believe God's allowing this to happen because of the way the world is and how a lot of people have turned away from God. So even didn't create it. I believe that it was created in a lab, and I also believe that it was smuggled to another lab and then released. I can't prove that, but I certainly believe it. And I believe that God is allowing this to happen as a part of a punishment. And furthermore, Addie, I can't prove any of this in a court of law. So I'm going by what I feel, and I believe through discernment, I could say this confidently based on the scriptures, is that, and I pray to God that I'm wrong about this, but I feel that this is phase one of three phases. And these phases are now being implemented and instituted against every citizen of the earth, because this is about, ultimately, phase one is unleashing this on the populace. Phase two will be vaccinations and cashless society. And phase three is the end game, which will be to have everyone take the chip, which will be the mark of the beast. Now, I can't prove this in a court of law, and I hope that I'm wrong. I really do. But it certainly looks that way to me, and it feels that way to me.
And your background is pretty extensive in spirituality and religion. You describe yourself as a spiritual warrior. Would you say that you are of the Christian faith?
Yes. And believe me, I suffered greatly as a child. I've written 6 books. And in the first book and the most recent book, as a matter of fact, I have written about these experiences, my sufferings. And though there may be people out there in your audience who may not understand this, or furthermore, they might not even believe it, I have experienced just about any type and every type of supernatural thing that you can imagine. And my family was destroyed by demonic forces, and I nearly was as well. So I didn't choose to do this work, Addie. God chose me to do this work through the horrific experiences that I had in childhood and even going into my adult years. So this is something that I would have never have chosen for my life. But that said, it's the greatest feeling in the world to know that God has actually worked through me to help someone in a positive way. I've traveled to every part of this country, continue to do so, though I'm shut down now because of the situation that we are currently facing. I have helped people, God working through me, from all over America and 40 other countries. It's just absolutely amazing at what God does through me. I don't claim to be anything spectacular or extraordinary. It's the power of God that works through me that really is a help to people.
I have one question about religion as it pertains to what you just said. But as far as the situation nationally, I watched a bit of the Kev Baker show, and I believe you said that there was either an Apache or a Black Hawk or some sort of helicopter. I don't know if it was a Hind, but a military helicopter. Would you mind sharing your general location and just the I guess the situation as it stands in terms of this pandemic? We're on a soft lockdown here in the state of Oregon. We are close to one of the hot zones, as they are calling it, in Seattle. I anticipating it getting worse. We just went up to 16 deaths yesterday, and I can only see it increasing. My estimate actually last week conservatively was about 150K, 200K, and that's exactly what the expert said last week. I'm not an expert, but I think is kind of ludicrous is the fact that I can come to this conclusion before they can. And do you just want to speak on your situation? Are there still
Sure.
helicopters going around and stuff, or
Well,
what's
I
going
mean, this
on?
has been going on, Addy, for years, and again, this may sound like crazy talk to some people, but I assure you, what I'm saying is true. I certainly have no reason to lie about anything. Since 1995, for whatever reasons, and I don't even know who it is, but there is someone out there that is part of some type of faction, I guess, that's in the military-industrial complex that has a real interest in me. And I have experienced just about anything that you could think of, again, in the supernatural way, but also with this type of surveillance. There are these people that claim to be targeted individuals or whatever. I believe them. I'm not in any way in distress. I'm a victor and I am a warrior. I'm victim to no one, never again. So I'm not saying that, but what
Powerful
I am
mindset.
saying, yeah, I mean, and that's by the power of God working through me. But what I am saying is, since 1995, I have been under some type of surveillance from these helicopters. And again, many varieties of helicopters. And Addie, I'm not just saying this. I mean, I have video footage of this, many photographs. I've had people with me that have witnessed this. And this continues, to present. I was where you heard me on the Kev Baker show the other night. While conducting that show, a copter flew over right where I live. And I mean, it's not just like, oh, a copter flew over. I mean, they come right over. And even if they're flying over where I live at, they're coming directly over. So if I were to look out the window, it would be coming directly over. So it is specifically targeted towards me. I've been outside and videotaped this to where copters have come down from the sky, nose first, pointing right towards me and coming down. So this is something I've experienced, the black van stuff, the phones being tapped, all of this. It sounds like absolute crazy talk, but I assure you that it is true.
What would you say to someone? Well, I'll just speak for myself, I guess, or anyone who may not particularly identify with a denomination or religion. What would you say to them in a time like this? Because I do think that, I mean, I know everyone is scared and people are behaving really weird and not knowing exactly what to do, and they have cabin fever. Say they're, maybe they're against Christianity, and maybe they're looking at Islam or Buddhism or something. What would you say to someone like that?
Well, I've helped people from all over the world, from all different types of faiths, including the Muslims and the Muslim faith. I would say now is the time, and I'm not trying to scare anybody. I am not a fearmonger, but we have to be real here. And in being real and keeping it real, I personally would strongly suggest to everyone that you develop a relationship with God. It is now time. Am I saying the world's going to end tomorrow? No, I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that I believe we are seeing the beginning of these three phases that are going to work in conjunction with one another, that are going to lead to ultimately to the world never being the same again and human beings never being the same again. Because if what I'm saying is true about this agenda to chip people, once that happens, you are cut off from God, because now you are a part of the machine. And that's what their ultimate goal is, to merge man with machine through these computers. And they're going to pitch it. Elon Musk is already pitching it. He's already got this done through his company Neuralink. They are going to pitch that if you accept these chips, you will be merged with the computer system, and therefore you will never get sick again, and you will become superhuman. That's what's going to be pitched to the populace. Now, think about this, Addie. When the iPhones came out, do you remember that?
Yes.
Remember how people lined up to get them?
Yeah. It seems like it happens every time, doesn't it?
Yeah, well, if you think that people lined up for those, can you imagine the millions of people that are going to line up when they're told that they're going to become superhuman? They'll never get a virus like this ever again, and they won't have to worry about anything like that, and they may even become immortal. The people are going to line up in the millions to accept it.
I hope you're wrong, Reverend.
I hope I'm wrong too.
People do act very strange when they're afraid, and this is a type of war environment. I mean, I think we do have to be on a war footing, and definitely the Department of Defense realizes this, but I am more concerned about our populace and particularly young people, because that's essentially what these power structures go after is, well, just look at, let's not talk about right now if we don't want to get too political. I guess what I'm saying is, if you look at the past, for example, Nazi Germany or whatever, they do try to take control of the political situation and the fear at the time in order to gain control over the populace at large. So this has happened before, and it always does happen during times of turmoil like this. You see it in the French Revolution, where Robespierre and the Reign of Terror and all this. So I do think it's something that people need to be at least concerned about or wondering about, because for me, it's not one or the other. And that's something I'm seeing on Twitter that people are making a big argument about is, okay, you're either a constitutionalist or you're trying to virtue signal because you're scared about people dying. But for me, it's both. It's both human life and this country, this great country that we do live in, and protecting both. What do you think?
No, I agree. And, human life has to come first.
Yeah, definitely.
And so if I were the guy, the leader, I would be worried. And look, I know we're in unprecedented times. I understand that. And the economy is very, very strained. And, we've never been in these types of situations before, and we've never been in these types of waters. However, speaking as a man of God, people have to come first. Yeah. I'm worried about lives. We can always repair the economy, and we can always pitch in together and work hard and bring things back up financially. But right now, we have to worry about the human life. We have to worry about doing anything and everything that we can to help one another. This is no joke. I mean, Addie, there's people out there that actually think all of this is a hoax. Yeah. It's mind-boggling. I know people that personally that are affected by this and have had loved ones that have died. I know it's real. I wish it wasn't real. I wish everything that I've said here is nothing but fantasy, but unfortunately it is not. This is real, and real people are dying. And so this prompted me to start having these Sunday evening shows. And
I will put the link for anybody who wants to check those out.
Thank you, my brother. I appreciate that.
Sunday with Kev Baker on the Kev Baker Show. I just discovered the Kev Baker Show. He's awesome. Consummate professional. He's been doing it a really long time. He runs a show every Sunday that features the Reverend, and they do try to focus on community and belief. And I think even if you aren't a Christian or necessarily religious, I think you would glean some help from that and something to bring home with you that is positive.
And thank you, Addie. And yeah, I love Kev Baker like a brother. Love him dearly. He's a great guy. And he really, when I presented this idea to him, he was right there. He partnered with me in this because this is a service, and we see this as a service to our fellow man. So, we're trying to do the best that we can do by the power of God working through us to provide information and comfort as well, because you wouldn't believe how many people are coming to me now for prayer. There are so many people, they're panicking. And so they are absolutely looking for somebody to give them some type of encouraging word to help them to weather this storm. So that's what I'm trying to do, all the while keeping it real and not trying to scare people into a relationship with God, but just presenting what I believe to be true. And it is an urgent message, as far as I'm concerned, to try and get people to consider to come back to God. Now, as far as my denomination, I'm non-denomination. I am a Christian, but I am non-denomination. I don't follow anybody except for God. In Christianity, there are 34,000 different Christian denominations, and there are 1,200 in the United States. I don't follow any of them. I love everybody and I respect people, but I allow God to guide me in my day-to-day. That's for sure.
I think that's really good point that you made about, and I respect you for that, Reverend, of not scaring people into believing, because, and this happens as far from the research that I've done, every time there's a pandemic. And of course, none of us can remember this because like maybe 1% of the population was alive during the Spanish flu.
Correct.
All of these charlatans and people trying to take advantage of the fear and hysteria that's going on, selling snake oil and this and that. So I really do respect you for saying that. And it's part of this great country too, I think, is the liberty to choose what you believe in. And it is a problem that I think is becoming apparent in this situation. I call it the double-edged sword of democracy, where yes, in Asia and the East, in these totalitarian, leaning regimes, maybe they're not all dictatorships, or maybe they're just de facto, some of them, but they do have more control over their populace than they do in the West. So I think that is, like I said, it's harder to get everybody on the same page in the United States and in the United Kingdom because of that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And furthermore, Addie, I believe that the devil is the author of division and confusion. So I've been involved in hundreds, maybe thousands of cases. Now I lost count a long time ago. So many people come to me for help, and this has been going on for many years. And the common thread in all of these cases is the devil trying to implement these divide and conquer tactics. So he is the author of division and confusion. So if you can get the populace at odds with one another, wow, it's so much easier to carry out the agenda and implement the plan and destroy the people. So I'm urging all people from all backgrounds and faiths to come together. We are all God's children, and it is time for us to come together and care about one another. And really, if we can do this, I know that God will bless us and help us to move forward.
I would love to. I actually just spoke with a great friend of mine from way back, and he's a youth pastor in Texas. I just chatted with him yesterday, and I would love to set you two up. I'm sure you guys would both love to talk to each other and really gel. He's got, I think it's something like 20 or 25 kids that he kind of leads and helps in his little group, and they're in the process now of transitioning to doing this digitally, because in Texas is actually, they're probably one of the best states in terms of this virus right now, but they just did start the lockdown a few days ago. So churches are going digital and youth groups are going digital as well. So if there's any advice you could give to him, I'm sure he would be all ears for it if you'd be up for it.
Oh, yeah. God bless him for what he's doing, and anything that I could do to be a help to him in any way, please, pass my information along to him, and would love to talk with him.
Will do, Reverend. Definitely. I'll set you up right after our interview. Is there any books or material that, if people want to check out, it would be a good thing to start with? If you want to check out Bill Bean's work, or what would be a good go-to, maybe first book or article?
Yeah, well, again, I've written 6 books, and my 3 most recent books I have written two. I'd written 2 in 2018, and then 2019 last year. So the 2 in 2018 were The Connection and Stranger Than Fiction, and then the most recent 2019 is Dark Force Revisited. So in that book, it talks about my family's story and the absolute horror that I went through along with my family. But the most important message of the book, and really all my books, is the triumph over tragedy. So we can be in the very worst of circumstances and situations in life, and believe me, I have. Through it all, God not only pulled me out of it, but then transformed my life from victim to victor. I am a living witness and a walking miracle to the power of God, and I can never thank him and praise him enough for everything that he's done for me, for everything that he's doing for me, and for the things that he's going to do for me. So for me, and I didn't come on your show to preach a sermon. Again, I came to speak truth and keep it real. And the reality is my life is 50 times more blessed than it's ever been cursed. And I can never thank God and praise God enough for that.
And you say life is about moving forward, which I think is a notion that we all kind of need right now.
Yeah. So, even though we're in a really bad situation, we truly are. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. However, if we can come together as people of planet Earth, not just the United States, but planet Earth, and if we can turn back to God, then he will make a way for us, and he'll bless us. He'll take this garbage off of the earth, and he will help us to move forward as a people. I truly believe it. So no matter what type of plan may be set up by the devil, and just as I mentioned earlier about the 3-phase plan, God could cancel that out. He can destroy that. There's nothing that he can't do. So if we could come together and come back to him, then he will hear our prayers. And then may he cancel out every single plan that the devil has to enslave humanity.
In your point of view, so there's this notion that we're often defined by our enemies. If the devil is the enemy, what group of people is he working through? Is it communists in this situation? Fascists? What would you say? Is it Chinese communists that he's working through?
Well, here's what I would say on the matter. And again, this is only my opinion. I couldn't prove it in a court of law.
Of course.
But I'm thoroughly convinced of it, that the devil has the market cornered on this earth, okay? God's allowing him a short time to have his way on this earth, and he is. So I feel, and I pray to God I'm wrong about this, but I truly believe that everybody in the high places on this earth, and I don't care where they're from, everybody in the highest of places on planet Earth is sold out to the devil, doing his bidding, because I believe that the devil has made a deal to them that they can't refuse. So I believe that all the highest powers on planet Earth are working for the devil. And this is why we have so much pain and hurt and suffering and torment and endless garbage taking place on our earth, including the degradation of society as a whole. And this is all coming down, and these are directives from the devil and his minions that are being set upon the rulers of this earth that carry out these types of things.
Definitely. Well, thank you so much, Reverend Bean, for sharing that. As I said before, anyone listening, all of the Reverend's links will be in the description box below. His website has all his books that he mentioned. They are for sale. He's selling them $20 a piece, it looks like. If you want to schedule an appointment, you can do that as well via
Absolutely.
the website. Can we talk about just quickly the Mandela effect before we wrap up?
And this is part of it too, Addie, and I'm glad you're bringing this up. As if what I've said hasn't been bizarre enough already, you add another wrinkle into this. And again, for anybody who thinks this is crazy talk, just go check for yourself. I first learned of this several years ago, and it was after I helped a lady in Scotland, and she needed a spiritual deliverance / exorcism. This is what I do for people. And after that was over with, she contacted me and said, "Are you aware of what's taking place?" And I said, "Well, what do you mean?" And she said that they call this thing the Mandela effect, and things are being changed in the Bible and other things on the earth. And I think I never heard of this, and I'm busy. I'm always busy. And she sent me a video with the message, and I thought, I don't have time for this. And I was getting ready to delete it. I felt like God stopped me in my spirit and said, watch this. And I did. And in the video, it discussed Isaiah 11:6. This is one of the most popular verses in the entire Bible. And there are statues and paintings and sculptures, and people sing about it. You name it. It is and again, this is Isaiah 11:6. This is the verse where it says, "And the lion shall lay down with the lamb." Are you familiar with that, Addie?
The wolf will live with the lamb. The leopard will lie down with the goat, the calf and the lion, and the yearling together, and a little child will lead them. NIV version.
Yeah, that's what it says now. So that's where it started. And I thought, okay, I have many King James Bibles, and one is now, I don't know, probably 159, 160 years old. And I got that out of the top of my closet, put my other King James Bibles on my desk, laid them out, opened up to Isaiah 11:6, and what you just read is there. Now it says the wolf. It never said the wolf. Look, I have a little figurine right here, the lion laying down with the lamb. There's depictions of all of these things all over the world. Yet now it says the wolf. And so that was the beginning. And now I would have to say there are probably hundreds and hundreds of scriptures that have been altered supernaturally in the King. It started with the King James Bibles. Now it's going through all the Bibles. And
what version of the Bible do you use, Reverend?
I use a King James Bible, and I also have a Holman study Bible that is on my desk as well. So the attack, and make no mistake, it is an attack. began on the King James Bibles, and now it has gone through to these other. So this is a virus all of its own, to where this is, and I believe that this is implemented and carried out through quantum physics. I believe that the CERN device, working in conjunction with D-Wave quantum computers, they are responsible for this. Again, but that's the case. And I talk about this in my book, Stranger Than Fiction. So if anybody out there wants to get a copy and read about this, Kev Baker actually wrote a chapter, a very, very compelling chapter. And one of the highlights of the entire book, you can find it in there.
I'll put it in the description box below. And just, I guess, a final thought on that verse. It reminds me of the movie Robin Hood with Russell Crowe. He says, or there's this phrase in there, rise and rise again until lambs become lions. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah, I mean, and here's some other things that people may want to look up. Remember the movie Field of Dreams with Kevin Costner?
Yeah, the baseball one, right?
The big line in that was, if you build it, they will come, right? If you punch Field of Dreams up right now, it's going to say, and he's going to say, the voice is going to say, if you build it, he will come.
Well, thank you, Reverend. Yeah, go ahead.
One more thing.
Yeah, definitely.
The movie Forrest Gump.
Classic.
He's on the park bench, and he says to the lady, Mama says life is like a box of chocolates, right? You never know what you're... Now, if you punch that up, and I urge everybody watching, punch it up.
On YouTube?
You could, just put in Forrest Gump. And he will say, Mama says life was like a box of chocolates. So it's these little subtle changes that you go, well, wait a minute. He didn't say that. And yet now it says that. And again, this goes right back to the devil, who is the author of division and confusion. So it's a divide and conquer tactic, if you ask me.
Did you want to watch that real quick?
Sure, you can. Absolutely.
Okay, I pulled it up. Hold on. There we go. I suppose can you hear it or no?
Vaguely, but that is right in the right place. So he's probably going to say it to her any second.
Yeah, you're right. Did you hear that? Did you hear that?
I didn't hear it, but I was looking at the scene, and there it is.
I'll play it again. I'll play it again. Let me. I'm just gonna take my headphones.
I hope everybody else heard it. The people that are, watching in, I hope they heard it.
Let's see.
I could eat about 1.5 million of these. My mom always said life was like a box of chocolates.
There you go. Life was like a box of chocolates. That wasn't it. He used to say life is. She said life is like a box of chocolates. And the same thing, there are many of these types of movies that have these types of changes in them. And people go, well, wait a minute. Didn't that say this and that? Famous sayings that you would, even like in the show Star Trek, the biggest line in that was "Beam me up, Scotty," right? Right? Beam me up, Scotty.
I think so. I don't know. I'm a Star Wars guy myself.
Well, in that show, that was the famous line, and it's not there anymore. They say that it never said that.
When did you start noticing this, Reverend?
When this client, I'd say it's probably been 3 or 4 years now. And let's see, it's just 20. I would say probably, somewhere around 2016. I started, and then, after I saw the change in Isaiah 11:6, I really started digging into this. And if you visit my website, you'll see billbean.net. You'll see that I have a page there on the Mandela effect, and another page where I gave a speech. And I do, of course, I can't go anywhere right now, but prior to this, I was speaking in churches in different places around the country, talking about this, and there are other people who realize that this is real and talk about, really just grabbing hold of you and go, whoa, wait a minute, what has happened here? How can this be? But yet it is really happening. Another line, do you remember the show I Love Lucy?
I know it. I never watched it. I'm not a huge pop culture guy.
Yeah.
I'm more of I watch movies more than shows. But
well, the big line out of that show was Ricky said to her, "Lucy, you've got some explaining to do."
Yeah, I know that line. Yep.
That doesn't exist anymore. Never said that. It was never a part of the show. So that's gone now. They say he never said it. You won't find him saying that to her anywhere, which is absolutely preposterous because it was the biggest line of the show. I used to watch the show all the time as a kid, and yet it is not there anymore. So this, to me, again, is a clear indication that external forces are at work here to alter our reality and, in effect, our world, and getting even more personal, trying to affect each and every human being. So in my opinion, this is why it is so important to establish a real and authentic relationship with God. And if you can do this and truly make him first, you won't have to worry about anything because he'll keep a blessing and covering over you. And again, I didn't come here to preach a sermon. I came here to speak truth and reality because I could say this due to the transformation that God brought about in my life. And if he would do it for somebody like me, believe me, and when you read my books, you'll understand why I'm saying this. If he would do it for someone like me, he'll do it for anybody.
Definitely. And I definitely will check out your material. Thank you so much for sending that,
Sure.
Reverend. I appreciate that. As you may guess, I'm really busy and backed up with messages and stuff right now and reading. But I will get to it at some point in the future. And I will definitely set you up with my friend. His name is Marcus Smith, and I can send you his contact info as well and get you guys set up in chatting.
Fantastic.
Any final thoughts from you, Reverend, before we sign off? And again, I'll put all the links in the description.
Addie, I want to thank you again for having me on. It's been a real pleasure, and I look forward to maybe joining you again another time. And may God bless you and your family and keep all of you safe from this garbage that's taking place right now. And I pray the same for everyone out there that may be watching right now or listening in. God bless all of you. And I just, if you need anything, visit billbean.net. If you feel like you're in spiritual turmoil, because a lot of people are in mental anguish right now, and some are in spiritual anguish because of the mental anguish. If you feel like you're having any of those types of problems, don't hesitate to contact me. I'm always very busy, but never too busy to help somebody. So visit billbean.net. You can contact me, and one of my assistants will be back with you.
Definitely. Thank you, Reverend. And just speaking for myself on a final thought, last week, I think for everyone, was really dark, and it is getting, it's setting in finally for not just the people who kind of saw this coming or who woke up last week or a couple weeks ago, but everybody's, I think, starting to wake up this week and deal with it. So we're all in this together. So don't feel like you are alone, or like you don't have to ask for help from someone you've never met on the internet, because you never know, they may respond. And Reverend is telling you right now he will respond. So
yes.
We'll be putting his info in the description box below. And I would love to chat again, Reverend, sometime. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Please wash your hands, cover your face, take this seriously. Time is blood, and precautions are lives in this situation. Thank you again, Reverend. And I hope everyone has a great rest of their evening. Ciao.
Thank you.